When I started running at 43, I thought certain problems just came with the territory. Chafing so bad I'd bleed through my shirt, my watch dying at mile 20, blisters that made me dread putting my shoes on. I genuinely thought this was just the tax I had to pay for starting in my 40s with a little extra weight and zero experience. And I know a lot of you feel the same way. I was wrong. Every single problem I faced had a solution. I just had to find it. And once I did, running got a lot easier. I'm Brian, a running coach from Midlife Marathoner, and today I want to share with you some things I wish someone had told me before I wasted time, money, and honestly, before I almost gave up. Let's talk about the problems that nearly broke me and the gear that actually solved them. I want to be clear up front. I am not earning any money from the sale of any of these items. I don't have affiliate links or an Amazon storefront. This is just personal advice from one runner to another. Now let me start with the most painful problem I used to face. If you've ever experienced serious chafing, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, trust me, you don't want to. When I first started training for longer distances, I would come home from runs with my inner thighs raw, bleeding nipples. It was brutal. Mile 8 of a long run, I'm adjusting my stride just to keep my thighs from rubbing together. I'm in pain, I'm slowing down, and I'm wondering how on earth people run marathons if this is what training feels like. There were mornings I considered not even running because I knew exactly how the aftermath would feel. I tried everything. Vaseline, Body Glide, different running shorts. Nothing worked for more than a few miles. I was about to accept this as just part of being a bigger runner. Then I tried compression gear. Specifically, Under Armour heat gear compression shirts and tights. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you this. I have not chafed once since I started running in compression gear. Not once. Not my thighs, not my nipples, nothing. The compression eliminates the friction entirely. My skin isn't rubbing against skin or fabric. Everything stays in place. As a bonus, Under Armour recently added a hip pocket to their tights that perfectly holds my phone. But honestly, I'd wear them even without that feature. If you struggle with chafing, and I know a lot of midlife runners do, even if we don't talk about it, compression gear isn't just helpful, it's life-changing. I won't run a single mile without my compression shirt and tights, period. Once I finally fixed the chafing, a different problem kept showing up. I trained with an Apple Watch for years, and I loved it. It worked great for easy runs. But two things drove me crazy. First, the battery would die before the end of my long runs during marathon training. I'm talking mile 18, mile 19, right when I needed it most, the watch was dead. I'd finished my run with no data, no splits, nothing. Second, and honestly this was the bigger issue, during interval training I couldn't see my current pace clearly. The Apple Watch just didn't make it easy to track short intervals in real time. For someone doing structured run-walk intervals or tempo work, that's a real problem. After a lot of research, I found the Garmin 255 on clearance, and this watch solved both issues immediately. The battery life is incredible. I can go weeks without charging it, and it easily handles my longest training runs with GPS running the entire time. But more importantly, the Garmin makes it incredibly easy to see my current pace during intervals. No fumbling with screens, no guessing. I can track my splits in real time, which completely changed how I approach speed work. Now, I only wear this watch when I run. It's not my everyday watch, but for training, it's become essential. If you're serious about following a structured training plan, especially as you're building toward a marathon, an entry-level Garmin is worth every penny. Fixing pacing helped, but something else was still slowing me down. When I started doing run-walk intervals, I was constantly looking at my watch. Run for 2 minutes, walk for 1 minute, run for 2, walk for 1. It was driving me crazy. I'm trying to focus on my breathing, my form, my surroundings, and instead I'm staring at my wrist every 30 seconds. There's something frustrating about feeling like you're glued to your wrist instead of your run. Then I discovered the Gym Boss interval timer. It's simple. You set your run interval, you set your walk interval, and it beeps or vibrates when it's time to switch. That's it. But that simplicity changed everything. I could run without obsessing over my watch. I could actually pay attention to how my body felt. Back when I was still training with my Apple Watch, this also saved battery life since I wasn't relying on the watch for the interval timing. But here's the real value. If you're someone who doesn't have a running watch at all, or if you're just starting out and don't want to invest in one yet, The Gym Boss makes run-walk training completely accessible. $20, that's it. For someone starting their marathon journey with run-walk intervals, this little timer is essential. And then I ran into a new problem I wasn't expecting. I love listening to music and podcasts when I run. But I also run on roads, bike paths, places where I need to hear cars, cyclists, other runners, dogs. I used to run with AirPods. Noise cancellation is great when flying, but not so safe when running. Traditional headphones or earbuds would block my ears and I was cut off from the world around me, and that can be dangerous. I tried running without any audio at all, but honestly, I missed it. Music helps me maintain my rhythm, and podcasts make long runs easier and more enjoyable. Then I discovered the Shox bone conduction headphones. The first time I used them, I realized something. I could actually hear the world around me. They sit outside your ear canal and use bone conduction technology to transmit sound through your cheekbones, which means your ears stay completely open and clear. The first time I wore them, I heard a cyclist coming up from behind me and was able to move over before they even called out. That never would have happened with regular earbuds. Plus, the battery life is amazing. I can go multiple runs without recharging. If you want to listen to audio while running, but stay safe, Shox headphones are the answer. They're not cheap, but they're worth it for the safety factor alone. And by this point, I'd fixed some things, but running still felt harder than it needed to. If you're following a heart rate-based training plan, and I highly recommend you do, especially for marathon training, you need accurate data. Your watch can give you a heart rate reading, but wrist-based heart rate monitors aren't super accurate, especially during intense efforts. They bounce around, they lose contact, they give you readings that don't match how you actually feel. For a while, I just accepted that my heart rate data was approximate at best, and that uncertainty made it hard to trust my own training. Then I added a polar flow chest strap heart rate monitor. This connects to your watch via Bluetooth, and it gives you the most accurate heart rate reading you can get from a piece of equipment that you can buy off of a shelf. When you're trying to keep your heart rate low for easy runs, or you're keeping it higher during tempo work, accuracy matters. You're not guessing, you know exactly where you are. The chest strap is comfortable once you get used to it, and honestly, the data is so much better that I don't even think about it anymore. After using it for a while, you're likely to become familiar enough with how you feel at various heart rates that you won't even need it very often. It's not essential for everyone, but if you're serious about heart rate training, and again, I think you should be, the Polar Flow chest strap is not expensive and it's completely worth it. The next problem snuck up on me. Blisters can end your training run early, or worse, they can keep you from running for days while they heal. I tried so many different running socks trying to find ones that actually worked. Too thick, too thin, wrong material. They'd bunch up or slide around in my shoes. Then I found Features. These socks come in specific sizes that just fit right. The fabric is cool, supportive, and they stay in place. And most importantly, for me anyway, they prevent blisters. I haven't had a single blister since I switched to Features. I have a variety of socks based on the season, ultra-thin ankle socks and thicker cushioned taller socks for cooler weather. Socks might not sound like a big deal, but when you're in the middle of marathon training and logging 30, 40, 50 miles a week, your feet need to be taken care of. Good socks are a must-have, and for me, that means Features. Now here's a problem that almost no one talks about until it's too late. When you're in your 20s, you can bounce back from hard runs pretty quickly. When you're in your 40s and 50s, recovery becomes just as important as the training itself. At 45, soreness didn't just show up, it lingered. I learned this the hard way. 2 pieces of gear transformed my recovery game. First, the Therabody Mini. This is the less expensive, ultra-portable version of the original Theragun. It's a percussion massage device that you can use exactly where you need it. Tight calves after a long run? Hit them with the Theragun for 2 minutes. Sore quads? Same thing. It provides targeted relief in a way that foam rolling never quite did for me. And because it's portable, I can use it right after a run, not just when I get home. Second are my OOFOS recovery slides. These are the only thing I wear on my feet after a run. They're designed specifically for recovery. The cushioning and arch support take pressure off your feet and legs. In fact, they're the only thing I wear around the house daily now. My feet and legs feel better when I'm in my OOFOS. Look, you don't have to have these things, but if you're struggling with recovery, if you're feeling beat up after your runs, these two items can make a massive difference. Recovery isn't optional when you're training for a marathon in your 40s and 50s. It's part of the training. Once I figured out recovery, the last piece fell into place. This is a big one because I see a lot of runners skip this and then wonder why their long runs fall apart. Before I figured this out, my long runs would fall apart at mile 14 or 15 and I couldn't figure out why. Hydration and nutrition during training aren't luxuries, they're necessities. Let me break this into pieces. First, electrolytes. I use Nuun's Sport hydration tablets. They come with and without caffeine. I take one before and one after each run. For longer runs, I use the hydration powder mixed into my water bottles. For training runs, I carry a larger water bottle that also has a pocket. This holds plenty of water and electrolytes for even my longest runs. On race day, I carry a smaller, soft, collapsible bottle. It's super easy to carry, and because I can refill it at aid stations throughout the race, it doesn't need to hold a lot at once. The key is having a system that works for you. Some people like to use hydration vests, some like handheld bottles, some use belts. I've tried all of them, and I prefer handheld bottles. Find what works for your body and your training. Second is fuel for your long runs. For any run over 1 hour, you need nutrition. Your glycogen stores are depleted after about 1 hour of running, and if you don't refuel, your performance is going to tank. I've tried almost every gel on the market. Most of them upset my stomach. Honey Stinger gels are the only ones that work for me. They're mostly honey, which makes them easier on my stomach. I take one gel every 45 minutes on long runs. And as a bonus, on race day, I like to eat a Honey Stinger waffle immediately before crossing the starting line. It gives me a little boost without sitting heavy on my stomach. Whatever you choose, don't skip hydration and nutrition. This is non-negotiable for marathon training. Looking back, none of these problems were huge on their own, but together they nearly convinced me I wasn't cut out for this. None of this gear made me a runner. Showing up made me a runner. Putting in the miles made me a runner. Failing at mile 22 and then coming back a year later to finish, that made me a runner. But every single piece of gear I just shared solved a problem that was making it harder to show up consistently. The compression gear meant I wasn't dreading long runs because of chafing. The Garmin meant I could actually execute my training plan with precision. The recovery tools meant I could train hard without breaking down. The hydration and nutrition meant my long runs didn't fall apart at mile 15. Running didn't get easier because I got fitter. It got easier because I stopped letting small problems derail my consistency. That's what makes this gear worth it. Not because it's trendy, not because everyone has it, but because it solved real problems that were keeping me from becoming the runner I wanted to be. If you're dealing with any of these issues right now, if you're thinking you just have to push through the pain or the frustration, you don't. There are solutions. You're not too old, you're not too late, you're not the only one struggling. Fix the problems, and the runner you're becoming finally gets room to show up. Your running journey doesn't get easier by accident. It gets easier on purpose. You can find links to everything I mentioned in the description below. And if you're looking for a training strategy to make yourself a stronger runner, click on this video right here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.